Hi there, everyone. This is a Q&A for segments 8 and 9 of guided imagery in the Intuition 1 class that we've been releasing for free online. So a few people saw things in the guided imagery that I did not cover in the what I'll call the standard responses to here's some meanings of some of the symbols. So I have a few pages of questions here. I'll get through as many as I can. So Darren says she's just got a list of what she saw. Grass, an open field with a few bushes, and the grass was yellow in a few places. So that typically means grass is, no insult here, not growing, not moving. And sometimes that's not a bad thing. That's just hasn't been opportunity to grow, hasn't been time, hasn't been the right circumstances, etc. But letting the grass grow under you and around you. 2, you have bare feet with a bit of black dirt on them. Bare feet typically means not really ready to undertake this kind of journey. And also is a kind of a go slow. The black dirt on the feet is maybe some people thinking that this is not a good idea for you. Sometimes the black dirt symbolizes people that are really religious who frown on further development of the individual, because then once you develop yourself, you're not really very controllable. Number 3 was a fence with just a few straight wires, very easy to bend and cross over. That's good. So the straight wires it just indicates that, there haven't really been any obstacles that you haven't been able to deal with. So, but bending and crossing over indicates sometimes insisting on having your way. Okay. You squashed down the wire and hopped over. Yeah, sometimes there are really good things. If you squash down the wire, that means that you're squashing the obstacle, or you're ignoring the obstacle, or you're not really dealing with it as well as you could. Sometimes there's like 3 or 4 things that an obstacle will present. That's a lesson, something valuable for your wisdom. Next, you had a shallow pond. You walk through, it wasn't deep. A pond typically means water that's not moving, emotions that are kind of not going anywhere, and not very deep. Okay. So when you develop yourself, you may come to a point where you are moving through an ocean very smoothly, but it's still an ocean. Number 7, the structure was a clay house going into the earth with the opening as a door. And there was no handle on that door. You just push the door. So the clay house going into the earth, there's 2 things. First of all, clay is a very healing material, and it comes from Mother Earth. So the message is, don't be shy about, connecting to Mother Nature and letting that be a big healer for you. The door being, no handle on it. The handle is, how do you handle opportunities? And you just push. You push your way in. So it works. Okay. Number 9, the next one, a man was inside but had no clear features. That's typically the male side of yourself that you have not developed. That's why he has no clear features. So the male side of the self for a woman is the protective side, the side that's willing to take back her power. Okay. Next one, not sure about the gift, just a wrapped thing. It was different. I'm not sure if you're referring to the gift was different or if the journey back was different. I don't think it's the journey back, because you say the same water, same pond, crossed the same way on the way back. The fence was the same, and you climbed over it, bending it a bit the same way. Your feet were still bare, and they were cleaner, but had some sand now. Okay, that's actually a good thing. So the sand usually symbolizes something that indicates time, the sands of time, and that time is changing you, which it needs to do. Okay. And the dirt that was on it at the start of the journey, that black dirt, sometimes that's bad reputation stuff, fear of what people will think about you, religious kinds of rules that you haven't ever really looked at and said, does this make any sense? What do I know about God, about the Godhead, about the nature of reality? Sand actually indicates that you're walking on, sand is changing ground. So you're walking on changing ground. That's very good. And then first, number 16, the last one, I couldn't see anything as I unwrapped the gift. Just a bunch of indigo color, nothing really. I paused the video and saw blue stone. I'm not sure if I made it up or what it means. Even if you made it up, you're still deliberately creating that gift. Okay, that indigo color, that's the color of your third eye, the ability to be telepathic, to be clairvoyant, to be precognitive. And that blue stone, that's a very powerful symbolism. You don't say whether it was, say, a topaz, or if it was an indigo stone, it might have been a blue sapphire. That's a very powerful meaning. That's polishing the gem, polishing your ability to see. So those are some really good things to see. Good job, Darren. Next, we have Lori. And she says, I got 5 images that you didn't cover. And if you do a Q&A, I'd like to ask for your interpretation. Number 1, I was in a healthy pasture. Number 2, I was wearing moccasins. Number 7 was a building that looked like Stonehenge. My door handle was gold with a sun design embossed on it. And number 9 was a druid with a loving presence. The rest of your explanations resonated well. So the healthy pasture, for anybody who gets anything that they describe as a pasture, it means that you are living mostly in the past, that you're comfortable there, and that there might be some bumps, some big changes coming as you move out of the pasture and into the present and into the future. And sometimes that pasture is just a deep appreciation for everything you've learned and experienced so far. Okay. The moccasins, that moccasins fits with the pasture. The moccasins are typically not being very trusting. A tendency to say, well, that can't be, to mock the information that comes to you in terms of consciousness, clairvoyant consciousness, clairaudient knowledge, things that you've seen. It's kind of a, well, I don't want to be accused of being in the category of parapsychology or witches or any of those, the old-fashioned terms before we began to pick up the science of consciousness. But, you might want to try some different shoes where you're not mocking, what's coming at you. And that typically indicates there's a little bit of fear of really getting deeply involved in your own power, your own wisdom, your own consciousness. Number 7 was a building that looked like Stonehenge. Stonehenge is a ceremonial building from ancient times, and the fact that you saw a druid in front of the fireplace, a druid with a loving presence, that indicates that you may have had connections to Stonehenge in ancient days and were maybe one of the druids yourself. It's a place for you to go looking and study and research. What is their history? What did they do? Etc. Your door handle was gold with a sun design embossed on it. That's a beautiful symbol. You are handling the doorway into your advanced consciousness by moving toward the light, by seeing the connections. The sun is the ancient symbol of the fact that we can all become enlightened, which means that we can all learn to generate light. That's what enlightened means. You start generating light. When that happens, you really don't need electricity anymore. You generate light wherever you go. That's an advanced skill, not really 3D, but that's if that's a goal for you, it's a beautiful goal. Keep going. So that that's, you had some wonderful symbols there, Lori. Very encouraging. Okay, Kathleen said, I wore leather moccasins. I crossed the little creek on stepping stones that were already placed there. It was a large stone building in the clearing with copper lever type handle on the door. The person was a red-haired man who gave me a rose-colored polished stone in the form of a heart. Nothing changed, maybe on the way back, but I really liked the gift. So the leather moccasins, that indicates that you have quite a thick skin against your own development. That sometimes, and this would hold true for you, Lori, as well, sometimes that's, I want to have the experience for myself, and then I will stop mocking. I will stop having such a tough attitude toward this information. So moccasins typically meant you're mocking, you're going against. Listen to the last part of the word moccasin, sin. So you're not really liking, you're mocking all those rules that get you to go against who you really are. That's what a sin is. A sin is committed when you go against what your inner self, your true self really wants, what it really thinks, what it really wants to say. So don't be mocking that true self, and don't be kind of, having a leathery kind of protection against it. Embrace that. You'd be surprised. Okay. The little creek on stepping stones. A creek, it means that there's nice water, nice energy, nice emotion flowing. Stepping stones, remember the saying, sticks and stones will hurt my bones, but names will never hurt me. Stones are you use hurt as a way to handle emotions, as a way to grow. And that's not a bad idea. Okay. So using emotional problems to grow. And then the large stone building. Stone is the symbol of the physical body. So this might be a message that's pointing you toward the structure of your physical self, needing attention, needing to be encouraged, to be more, to move toward being an enlightened being, to move toward that whole awakening process in which you become much more than you think you are. And copper is copper. The lever to the door is a lever, and copper is an electrical conductor. Again, points to the electricity moving through the self, and that is the way you handle opportunities, doorways, moments of aha, when you understand something about consciousness or reality, that changes who you are. Let that change flow through and educate or transform every single part of you. Okay? And leverage that. That's what a lever is. Use that to go much further than what you think you first had an opportunity to do. So leverage that information or that insight. And then the person was a red-haired man. The man is almost always the symbol of needing to develop the male side of the self. Red hair, that symbolizes an ancient connection to the Persians, number one. It also symbolizes it's time, it's past time. I'll say a couple things here. Red hair symbolizes doing things quickly, almost too quickly for you to handle. That's okay. Do it anyway. Red hair also symbolizes connection to the ancient Zoroastrians, the Persians. May have some connections there. Red hair also symbolizes a connection to those Persians who migrated to Ireland and continued to develop their incredible insight and connection to the natural world. And red hair also symbolizes doing things without really organizing them, doing them in a fast, not well thought out manner. Okay, so that's red hair. Let's see, is there, he gave you a rose-colored polished stone in the form of a heart. That's beautiful. Okay, that's a rose color. Your heart, this is something that I haven't said much about. Every individual has to develop a rock inside the self. That rock becomes the firm foundation that you build your new self on. You can't build a sturdy self unless you have that rock. Now, most people would look at that rock and say, my heart must be like a rock. I need to open up. No, your rock, the rock that forms the heart of you is a place that nothing touches. Nobody goes there except you. And the fact that that's at the heart of you, it's a foundation stone. And it is the foundation of love. When you are secure and you start to build that new self is going to be very loving and not be a fool and not let other people control or tell her what to do, where to go, how to be, what to think, how to spend their money, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a wonderful gift. It's a foundation for a new way of being. Congratulations. So this, I'm not sure how to say this name. Dineke, Dineke, says, I walked across a wheat field ready for harvest. When I heard you explain about a too demanding career, I had to laugh because I was planning to retire this year. Very good. I'm not a native English speaker and I did not know what a salt box style house was, so I looked it up on Google. The pictures resembled my description of the structure perfectly. And yes, I do need some more input. The meaning of the native African person as being my shadow side that needs integration is also interesting, as I am reading and watching a lot about shadow work lately. Good for you. Bring that shadow self out. Typically, you don't do that very well until you retire. So maybe it'll come forward when you retire. My gift was a necklace. I need to process that one a bit longer. You don't say much about what the necklace was shaped like or what it was made out of, but a necklace is an ancient sign of belonging to a particular group or tribe. Okay? So only the door handle was different. It was upside down. The creak and the wire fence were the same, so were my shoes. They were black and white checkered sport shoes. Okay, love that. Black and white checkered sport shoes. So that says that you're about to have some fun with the whole unfolding process. For you, it's going to be very black and white. I can use this. I don't need that. I like that. That's not interesting. I'm going for this. That's, etc. So very good. And sports is, take it seriously, but have fun with it. Okay. Let's see. So Susan says, I just walked across the brook. It was about knee deep. The structure was a tiny one-room wooden shack or cabin, but when I walked in, it was spacious, bright, and multi-roomed with very high ceilings. That's often the case, Susan. I hear that all the time. The door handle was deliberately or delicately ornate silver without a knob. The gift was a beautiful silk scarf in shades of blue. Okay. So walking across the brook, that means you're handling emotions well. You said that was about knee deep. That means it's, you're not drowning in that emotional stuff. The structure, the one-room wooden shack, that says that you need more time alone, more solitude. Okay. And inside yourself, you are bright and spacious and open and multifaceted with very high ceilings, no limits. The door handle was a delicately ornate silver design. Silver is the color of an awakened consciousness. Beautiful. And it's your own design. That delicate design, that's you. That's your own personal design. Do it your way. And then the gift was a beautiful silk scarf in shades of blue. Scarves have a couple different meanings. They typically mean that you are willing to stick your neck out, but not risk it. No need to risk in developing yourself. Blue is clarity, shades of blue, beautiful often, is clarity, it's calmness. It can border on the depressive side. So if you get depressed, take steps to end that depression. Usually depression is a nutritional problem. So, but that silk, that indicates that this journey will be very smooth for you. It'll be rich with all kinds of goodies. Okay. Understandings. Okay. Next we have Lisa. Lisa simplified. She says, this exercise was more revealing than I expected, and it made me laugh at myself. How should we interpret colors? Is it like the tarot? Yes. I noticed a lot of white. Thank you so much. A lot of white. That's really all that she says. So Lisa, when there's a lot of white around, that's typically white is the color of death, and it's the color of consciousness becoming purified, letting the old go. That's a very good sign. Okay. When I talk about, white is the color of death, people are, oh no, but that means that you are clearing away the old. Okay. So don't worry about it. KP Biopec says, I received an old custom-made knife with an engraved handle. It reminded me of an outdoor knife, something from the Old West. So that is often a sign that you were having some kind of life in the Old West, but a custom-made knife with an engraved handle, that a knife is almost always something that you use to cut away the old, to cut yourself free from old thinking, old ideas, old rules, old, whatever. And to do that, cutting away your way. The engraved handle says that you will handle it in your own unique way. Okay? And that is very good. You don't want to be jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, which is what some people do with spirituality. So just be aware that there's really, that a knife is a wonderful gift. It's also something for defense, and it also helps to rescue others who are stuck, who are tied up, so to speak. So don't be too ambitious with that. Go slow. Okay. So Aligned says, I wore closed-in Birkenstock style shoes. So that just says that there's some closed, that you're not open all the way to the journey, but you're wanting it to be a relaxed journey, something casual, something you can do at your own pace. So that's a good thing. Okay. And then Carol says, in my room was a person, male, dressed in light gray and white, wearing robes very ethereal from another plane. The gift I received was no less than the Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power. Too large to wear, though, and it was in a brown box. A bit of a backstory to actually owning that ring. Okay. So Carol, the person from the ethereal plane wearing the gray and white, that's a connection that you have to your own higher self. And that ring of power, anytime you get a ring, that symbolizes power. Rings are power. Okay. But you say it was too large to wear. And it was in a brown box. So that's you recognizing, I'm not quite ready to put that ring on yet. That's okay. And the brown box symbolizes it's going to be practical things that you must use your power with. Brown is the color of practical, everyday business kinds of things. So that's the brown box. Use that power, practice using it, and you'll grow into that ring. Okay. Okay. Next, we have Juju Bear, who says, I was in a tall grass wheat field with one magnificent red poppy with a purple center. So anytime there's a wheat field, wheat is the symbol of busy making money, having to go to work every day, having to pay attention to your finances, your economy, your personal economy. That's wheat. Wheat symbolizes, or wheat is used to make bread. Bread is a term that indicates money. Okay. And you buy money you get money in order to buy what you need to feed yourself. So the red poppy, watch out. That poppy indicates something suddenly popping in with great passion, and great power, and very, I'm going to say mesmerizing, because the poppy is the plant of opium. It's what's used to make opium. And so that purple center is your spiritual center. That's going to hook you, and you are not going to be able to stop the journey. Okay, which is a good thing. But sometimes it goes a little faster than we are ready for. Okay. Next, we have hidden wings hypnosis. What about just walking through the water? No rocks or logs. It was just a small creek or stream. There were quite a few of you who had, I just walked through the water. That means that you're handling your emotions in a fairly normal way. Okay, you're not drowning. You're not having to swim. You're not immersed in emotions, loving drama. You are just handling things as you need to. So that's a good thing. Then we had Bridget says, I had the same about the water. It was not so deep. It was a stream and not so big. So I just walked through. So yeah, same thing. Handling emotions well. Heart-centered mamas says, I waded to the other side of the creek. It was a creek with clear babbling water. Water came up to about my knees. Yeah, same thing. That's good. When water comes up to your knees, that typically indicates that you will flex. Your knees are about flexion. You will flex and bend at the knee. And so that's a good thing. You will flex based on what those emotions are. Yeah, she says, I suspect it's acknowledging and working through your emotions in a straightforward manner. And yes, heart-centered, you are right. Okay, heart-centered goes on to say, the water was below my knees and I waded through it, but I did notice that I had black rubber boots on at this time. So that's black rubber boots indicate not wanting to get too caught in those emotions. It's a protection against emotion, okay? Wanting to boot those emotions right out. So Kevin is next and he says, I got a wooden spool of red thread. Wooden often indicates, listen to the word wood, wooden. Wood is often indicates, would you do it or wouldn't you do it? You're to answer that question yourself. But that red thread says that you are tied into the fabric of reality, the fabric of your own life, the fabric of I'm not sure what the rest of your symbols would indicate, but you are to weave that thread into something that makes a beautiful pattern. Okay? Anytime anybody gets thread, that's weave a new world. The spider is the symbol of weaving a new web. And all those little web-like things, those are considered spider web threads. Okay? So that's a very nice kind of symbol. And Darren adds a note here that says, I walked through the water and the water was up to my waist. Okay, that's a sign that quite often emotions will cause a huge waste of energy. Okay, try to get that water back below your knees, down by your ankles. Okay. Don't waste energy churning and just make a decision, get clear, and let things unfold the way they are. People feel what they feel. They think what they think. They're going to say what they have to say. Just watch. They're not talking about you, and if they are, they're projecting. They're telling you about themselves. Okay? Next, we have Candace, and she says, I was given an incredible gift that I had to open later. I put it in my home. However, today at our spiritual service, I knew I had to put it in my heart. It was a very emotional experience, and I did have some questions. The structure I saw was an obelisk, like the Washington Monument. Is that the same as a tower? I got over the fence simply by hopping over it. Would that be the same as climbing over it? Kind of, a little faster. Also, I got across the water by walking on the water. Okay, is that the same as floating over it? I did find a leaf and a paddle on the way back. My doorknob was gold. Is that the same as brass? No. Okay. So the Washington Monument, an obelisk, it symbolizes a couple different things. Number one, it symbolizes power. It is like a tower, but the tower symbolizes being at risk, trying to maintain power over others more so than just over yourself, kind of thing. So an obelisk like the Washington Monument, that is a symbol of reaching up into higher consciousness to get to your own power, to bring that power down. Anything that sticks up is going to channel frequencies and currents of electricity right down to the ground, right down to that, through that obelisk and to whoever's in it. So that would be you. Okay. That's a very good sign. Let's see. Hopping over the fence is not the same as climbing. Hopping is, most obstacles, you're not stopped by them. You just hop over. Climbing is a little more work. Okay. Getting across the water by walking on the water, that usually indicates not wanting to be bothered by emotions at all. That gets in the way of you feeling what you need to feel in order to heal and become whole and complete and comfortable with every kind of feeling out there. Okay. So no, it's not the same as floating over it. You said I did find a leaf and a paddle on the way back. That is, it sounds like you kind of got on the leaf and used the paddle, or you picked up the leaf. That symbolizes having already turned over a new leaf and paddling in a new direction. You have assistance for your power. A paddle increases your power by pushing you forward faster than your hands could push you forward. So that's moving quickly here. And then the doorknob was gold. No, the gold is the symbol of a very advanced consciousness. Brass is, yeah, I'm going to be sassy enough to do this. I'm going to expand my consciousness. I don't care what anybody says or what the world thinks. But gold, that's an advanced consciousness. So that's a very advanced consciousness. Okay. So very good. Next we have Annette, and she says the structure was a clear dome. The door handle to get in was a push button. The person I met was Gandalf, the wizard in The Lord of the Rings. And my gift was a glass or crystal sphere. So yeah, the clear dome, that symbolizes like developing the sphere of the influence. A dome is a sphere, and it symbolizes your sphere of influence, your sphere of power. Okay. And it says use that power. Okay. And that typically is going to be using that power in the world. And that's Gandalf fits right in with that. Gandalf was a wizard who was trying to help the people who were trying to take back their world. The gift was a glass or crystal sphere. That's, no obstacles there. Glass means smooth sailing, open sailing, transparency, all of that. So that's, being open and transparent in your sphere of influence. In my family, we like to be very transparent to the point of bluntness that is sometimes shocking. Once you get to the point of recognizing that transparency is absolutely non-negotiable for you, you have to have that. You want that in your life. It's called honesty. That transparency or honesty then brings the next lesson, which is how do I say this? How do I think about this in a way that is very healing, that is very cooperative, that brings people together, and so on and so on. Okay. Next, we have soul ease, soul easy, soul easy. I like that name. Soul easy says, I have great difficulty with visualizing. However, I can sense or feel what is there in various scenarios without seeing it. From previous classes, I am a feeling emotion person. Yeah, that's a kinesthetic learner. Okay. Also, my concern in this particular exercise is wondering if I'm pulling answers from my own experience with my past, walking or hiking outdoors. My answers were based on what I felt was there. That's good. Is that the right thing to do? Yes, it is. Let's see. Is there a way to improve my ability to visualize? Yeah, there is. Look at something and then close your eyes and recall every single detail. That is visualizing. So just practice that. Even my dreams are like flashcards of feeling and what I sense, usually in black and white. So, yeah, kinesthetic is the most basic form of learning. There's nothing wrong with being kinesthetic. Visual learning is something some people just don't get, or they get it in a different kind of way. That's fine. Do it your way. And the black and white typically means that you are very black and white. CPAs, bookkeepers, bosses often have a black and white context for what they do. It just means this, I want this and not that. Very clear on what you want and don't want, what you think is right and what you think is wrong. Okay. Typically there's lessons around that black and white, but that's okay. You want to learn, and you want to learn based on how you are, because that's where you become real. Okay. Capital R, real. Okay. So next we have Hidden Wings. Hidden Wings says, what about a birdhouse on a pole? I had to shrink to get into it, so I just flew up to it and the door opened. There was a bird or a fairy that gave me a pebble. Okay, so birdhouse on a pole. Typically, the pole symbolizes being polarized in a very distinct direction, but really wanting to develop the spiritual side of the self. A birdhouse is a home for the spirit. And that's where you want to focus. You had to shrink to get into it, so you just flew up to it and the door opened. That anytime you have birds or flying, that is you using an already developed spiritual sense to make things happen and to make them fit. I'm saying to see this, do that. You're making it happen. And you're having to make it fit, and you're using your true spirituality to do that. Okay, birds indicate spirituality, the true spirit of the self. And the fairy, you said it was a bird or a fairy, gave you a pebble. That really, the pebble is really a wonderful gift. It's a piece of the self. The word stone symbolizes the physical body. A stone is deeply, deeply material. It's hard, it's physical, it's a rock kind of thing. And that's the human body. I mean, we're not quite as hard as a stone, but you have to develop a stone or rock inside the self in order to build that true spiritual self. And that you build that on that foundation without becoming mean, without becoming greedy or selfish or cold-hearted or uncaring about what's happening out there in the rest of the world. So the pebble is a piece of the self, a little piece of stone. Okay. Very good. So Heart-Centered Mama says, my gift was a small wrapped box with a ribbon, just like you described. I still didn't open it when later in the meditation, I was just examining the box. Should I go into meditation and try to open it? Yeah. I'm very interested to know what it is. So yeah, that's your gift. So an unwrapped, unopened box means that you have not opened your gifts. Go look. Good question. Bridget says, my structure was a round straw hut. I did not get a physical gift. I got love. How nice. So the round straw hut, that indicates I really would like a simpler life. So whatever your lifestyle is now, you might consider trying to simplify it quite a bit. And the gift of love, that is a physical gift. It isn't something you can put your fingers on and touch. When you get love, that changes your physical self. It changes your frequency set. It's a wonderful gift. So congratulations. Next we have Ivy Blunden says, I received a china teacup and saucer as a gift. I tried to research a meaning, but only found stuff about reading tea leaves. I think I did answer some of these questions right on the website, but I think it's really helpful. I'm answering some of them again because other people will watch the videos and maybe see something or learn something. Okay. Let's see. So the china teacup and saucer, anytime you have a specific designation like China or Russia or Mexico or Canada or whatever, those indicate connections to that culture. And then the teacup, that teacup is it's asking you, what is your cup of tea? Do what you love, in other words. So, and the saucer means do it in a sassy way. Be saucy. Okay? So it's a wonderful gift. Be sassy.